Yai la lai 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 yai la lai 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 yai la lai 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 yai la lai 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 la lai 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 yai la lai 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 yai lai yai lai yai lai la lai 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 yai lai yai lai yai lai la lai 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 lai. That's the whole song. Sing with me. Yai la lai 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 la lai 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 yai la lai 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 yai la lai 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 la lai 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 yai la lai 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 yai lai yai lai yai lai la lai 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 yai lai yai lai yai lai la lai 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 lai. Would you like the candles, Rhoda? No. Yai la lai 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 lai. Daniela, would you light the candles, please? Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. We need a beat. Yai lai yai lai yai lai la lai 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 yai lai. Keep it going. Yai lai yai lai la lai 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 lai. Keep it going. Yai la lai 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 la lai 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 yai la lai 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 yai la lai 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 la lai 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 yai la lai 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 lai. You can just like these. Yai lai yai lai yai lai la lai 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 yai lai yai lai yai lai la lai 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 yai la lai 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 la lai 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 yai la lai 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 lai. Blessing. Page 2. Oh, that's upside down. Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Beautiful. Amen. Thank you. Thanks for coming up at the last second there. Shabbat shalom, everybody. How are you guys doing tonight? All right, let's take a moment to turn around to the people sitting near us, wish each other Shabbat shalom, and please try to say hi to somebody that you haven't met yet. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Shabbat shalom to our friends who are joining us on Zoom. We will begin on page 12 and sing Psalm 95. Lechu neranena, yai lai 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 lai, l'Adonai, yai lai 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 lai, nariah, yai lai 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 lai, letzur hishenu, Yai, lai, 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 lai. Let us sing out to God, the maker of all, sure and strong. Let all of creation from mountain to sea hear our song. Lechu neranena, ya lai 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 lai, Adonai, ya lai 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 lai, Nariya, ya lai 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 lai, Letzur hishenu, ya lai 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 lai, ya lai 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 lai. Page 20. Lecha dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor vezachor bedibur echad. Hishmiyanu el hameyuchad, Adonai echad, ushemo echad, l'shemu tiferet, ve'elitila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, yalalai, 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, yalalai, 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki mekor ha-beracha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshava techila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, yalalai, 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, yalalai, 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri, hitoreri, kiva orech, kumi ori, uri, uri, shir daberi, Kevod Adonai, Alayich nigla. Lecha dodi likrat kala, yalalai, 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, yalalai, 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. If you would like to rise to greet the Shabbat bride, I invite you to do so. If it is not your custom to rise, please feel comfortable to remain seated. Boi v'shalom ateret bala, gam besimcha uvetzola, toch emunei am segula, boi chala, Boi chala, lecha dodi likrat kala, yalalai, 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, yalalai, 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Page 25. Together at the bottom of the page. And so we understand that ordinary people are messengers of the Most High. They go about their tasks in holy anonymity, often even unknown to themselves. Yet if they had not been there, If they had not said what they said or did what they did, it would not be the way it is now. We would not be the way we are now. Never forget that you too yourself may be a messenger, perhaps even one whose errand extends over several lifetimes. On the opposite page. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem leshalom, Malachei hashalom, Malachei elyon. Mi melech, Malachei amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu ni leshalom, Malachei hashalom, Malachei elyon. Mi melech, Malachei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem leshalom, Malachei hashalom, Malachei elyon. Mi melech, Malachei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Page 27. Teach me, O God, a blessing, a prayer on the mystery of a withered leaf, on ripened fruit so fair, on the freedom to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to hope, to despair. Teach my lips a blessing, a hymn of praise, as each morning and night you renew your days, lest my day be today as the one before, lest routine set my ways. On page 28, please rise. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Baruch hu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach. Leolam vaed, leolam vaed. Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Page 30 together. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tsevaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. On 32. Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amchavta Torah u'mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim Otanu limadeta Al kein Adonai Eloheinu B'shochbeinu uvkumeinu Nasiach bechukecha V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha Uv'mitzvotecha Leolam va'ed Ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu uvahem nege yomam valayla ve'ahavatcha tasir mimenu leolamim Baruch ata Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Page 36. Ve'avtam et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uvechol nafshecha uvechol meodecha ve'hayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha u'kshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha Leman tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'hitem kadoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lihiot lachem lelohim ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem emet. On 37 together. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work, whether you are tired or you are rested. Let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all of my mitzvot, so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai your God. On page 40. Mi chamocha ba'ilim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar ba'kodesh, nora tehilot, osei fele, nora tehilot, Osefele Malachutecha Ra'uvanecha Bokei Ayam Lifnei Moshe uMiriam Zelianu ve'ameru Adonai Yimloch Adonai Yimloch Le'olam va'ed V'ne'emar kifada Adonai et Yaakov U'ga'alo miyad chazak mimenu Baruch ata Adonai Gal Yisrael. On 43, together. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up, waiting to do your will. Baruch ata Adonai, hapores sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. On the next page. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-shabat la'asot et ha-shabat ledorotam berit olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-shabat la'asot et ha-shabat ledorotam berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael, oti le'olam, oti le'olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-shabat, la'asot et ha-shabat, ledorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-shabat la'asot et ha-shabat ledorotam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi'i shabat vayinafash Shavat vayinafash, shavat vayinafash, v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-shabat, la'asot et ha-shabat, ledorotam berit olam. Page 46, please rise. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei HaKol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye HaKol atah Rav leHoshia, Morid Hatal, Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed, Mechaye HaKol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim v'rofech olim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato lishenei afar. Mi chamocha bal givurot, umido melach, melech memit, umechaye, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman ata l'hachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, mechaye hakol, ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, Ukdoshim b'chol yom yahalelucha selam. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. I invite you to continue in silent prayer. You may do so standing or seated if you are comfortable. Say shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Close your books, please. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Great to see all of you here this evening, and Shabbat shalom to those of you who are on Zoom. Also, we're so glad that you're here and part of our prayer community tonight. A couple of weeks ago, my family and I went out to visit a friend who lives in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. Now, as I'm coming to learn the area, I figured out that we were in what people call the hipster part of Williamsburg. There were tons of restaurants and bars and stores, crowded streets, people walking their dogs, music playing, and no parking to be found anywhere. This was my first time and only time in Brooklyn. Right, that's funny because I'm a guy from Nebraska. First time in Brooklyn, and all I really knew about it was what I had seen on Welcome Back Kotter reruns when I was a kid. You know, like Horseshack, Mr. Kotter. And I also knew that it's kind of the hot new place to live in the New York area. Somebody told me recently, if you can't afford to live in Brooklyn, then you live in Manhattan, which is, you know, saying something. Hey, what do I know? I also knew that that Williamsburg is home to the Satmar Hasidic community. That's the community, if you're not familiar with them, they're from the Netflix series Unorthodox. Why are we laughing so much? That's great. Well, good. You've seen the Netflix series. Okay, they're also the ones who built their own town in upstate New York, which is called Kiryas Joel, which is named for their founding Rebbe, Joel Teitelbaum. Our friend that we were visiting told us that we were only a few blocks away from the Satmar section of Williamsburg, so I decided that we needed to check it out before heading back to Great Neck. It was early evening on a Saturday, and as we crossed into the neighborhood, we saw the men walking to or from shul in their black robes and high white stockings and towering fur hats, which are called, do you know? Streimels. They're called streimels. And the girls, of course, wearing high-necked formal dresses and long braided hair. The girls that we saw walking appeared to be, around Lindsay's age. And my daughter, who I have to say is completely obsessed with Lululemon, wasn't sure what to make of them in their attire. So she says, "You mean that's how they really dress? They look like they're from like the 1900s or something." She was born in 2009, so, you know. Of course, the distinctive dress makes the Hasidim unmistakable. There's absolutely no question that they are Jewish. And to many people in this world, of course, the Satmar Hasidim are what authentic Jews look like. And that's precisely the point. My teacher, Rabbi David Ellenson, has explained that broadly speaking, there are two ways in which a religious community might respond to social and cultural change in the world around it. One response is what sociologists call accommodation. So accommodation is when the community adapts its norms and values and practices to accommodate the changing reality and keep people inside the tent or broaden the tent so that more have a place there. The other response is what the sociologists call resistance. Resistance is when the community decides it's more important to hold to its established values and customs than it is to keep people in the tent. Better to stay rooted in who we are, even if it means being smaller, than to accommodate change and lose our identity, is what the people who choose resistance might say. The Satmar Hasidim of Williamsburg are a prominent example of a community that has chosen resistance in response to the ever-changing cultural, religious, and moral landscape of modernity. And that's not a negative judgment against them. Resistance is a legitimate response to change. And the Satmar very proudly and explicitly stand apart from the secular world that surrounds them. Hipster Williamsburg, with all its bustle and in-your-face secularity, is only a few blocks away, but when you cross whatever street or avenue it is that serves as the invisible Maginot Line separating hipster land from Satmar land, the feeling is unmistakable. You have clearly entered into a different world. And that is very intentional and core to their existence. The Satmar sect was founded by Rabbi Joel Teitelbaum in the early 1900s in a village called Satumare, in what was then part of Hungary. But the Satmar are, in some ways, the spiritual descendants of the famous Hungarian rabbi Moses Sofer, known as Khatam Sofer, whom I spoke about a couple weeks ago. You may remember him. Khatam Sofer's motto was Chadash Asur Min HaTorah, which means innovation is forbidden by the Torah. He was the rabbi who crusaded against the early reform movement, and he went so far as to forbid his followers to marry Reform Jews. But it wasn't only Reform Judaism that he opposed. He fought ardently against the Enlightenment culture of his time, which brought new ways of thinking about individuality and freedom and religion, morality and science and traditional hierarchies. Khatam Sofer saw the Enlightenment as a dangerous foreign force that threatened to destroy Judaism and the Jewish people. So he warned his community against the enlightened Orthodox Jews of his time too. He wrote this: "Do not live in their vicinity and do not associate with them at all. And never occupy yourself with the writings of RMD," which referred to Reb Moses Mendelssohn of Dessau, who was an Orthodox Jew and a leader of the Jewish Enlightenment movement. In the words of Jacob Katz, the preeminent scholar of the period, Khatam Sofer believed that Jewish tradition had to be preserved in its totality, and he knew that this could only be done at the price of continued social and cultural isolation. This is what he wrote in his last will and testament to his community: "Have strength and courage through assiduousness and great learning in God's Torah. Gather, disseminate, and act for the sake of Torah in public. Be careful not to change your Jewish name, your Jewish language, or your traditional Jewish dress, heaven forbid." These three things, names, language, and dress, were critical to Rabbi Sofer's program of resistance to modernity and preservation of his community, because he believed that what you do and represent outwardly impacts your inner commitments and values. And this tells others, and it tells you yourself, who you are and what you stand for. It's for that same reason that in our modern society, police officers and soldiers and even some school children wear uniforms, because wearing the uniform not only lets other people know who they are, but it also gives the person wearing the uniform a sense of identity and communal belonging. Khatam Sofer believed that these things would help keep the Jewish people Jewish. And he was on firm ground in believing it, because the Torah itself uses the same strategy. In this week's Torah portion, Parashat Re'eh, we read a long list of mitzvot, which among other things have the effect of forbidding Jews from eating with non-Jews, intermingling with non-Jews, imitating the practices of non-Jews, and so on. They're what Jacob Katz calls barriers against the outside, designed to make the Jewish people an Am Kadosh, a holy people, or a people set apart. And communities like the Satmar in Williamsburg have held to that way. And as the world has continued to change, they've put up even more barriers against the outside. There's a woman online named Frida Wiesel. She's a tour guide in Brooklyn. She grew up in the Satmar community. Now she gives tours of the area. And she explains in her blogs and a video tour of the area that she gives that not only does the community maintain its own educational system, of course, but it also requires its members to use kosher cell phones and technologies that bar access to secular culture outlets like Netflix and news sites and many other sectors of the internet. Satmar homes do not have televisions or screens in them. Toy stores in the community sell only kosher toys, like slip and slides that use censor stickers to cover up the pictures of on the box of frolicking children dressed in immodest swimsuits. And rather than offering superhero or princess costumes for the kids, they sell child-size robes, stockings, and shtreimels, so kids can dress up like their parents and play Shabbat. Now, from where we sit, it's tempting to snicker at this, but we shouldn't. This community is very clear about who it is and what it wants to be. And all these things serve to reinforce the values they hold dear, such as family, Shabbat, prayer, mitzvah observance, respect for parents, and deference to authority. I feel like my own kids could use some of that. When I think about it, it makes me embarrassed that the videos we let them watch on TikTok and YouTube reinforce other values, namely materialism, violence, disrespect, body shaming, ridiculing people, you name it. Are these the values we who live outside the bubble of Satmar Williamsburg want to live by and reinforce with our children? I don't think so. But that's what we do. Why? There's a midrash about this, which I find to be thought-provoking. It says, if someone tells you Jerusalem is thriving and Rome is thriving, don't believe them. If they tell you Jerusalem is in ruins and Rome is in ruins, don't believe them. But if they tell you Jerusalem is thriving and Rome is in ruins, or the opposite, that Rome is thriving and Jerusalem is in ruins, believe them. In this midrash, Jerusalem stands for Jewish culture, of course, and Rome stands for secular culture. Like Khatam Sofer, the authors of the midrash saw these two cultures not only as opposites, but as mutually exclusive opposites, meaning Judaism and secularism cannot coexist in the same community of people. It's either Jerusalem or Rome, and we have to choose. That's why the Haredim, from Khatam Sofer to Satmar, choose resistance, because in their view, that's the only way to sustain Jerusalem against the destructive force of Rome. Now, we Reformed Jews obviously see it differently, and that has led us to attempt something that is very difficult, something countless generations of our ancestors thought impossible, and that is to integrate Jerusalem and Rome into one coherent way of life, to be both religious and secular at the same time. If we take it seriously, this can be a source of tremendous tension in our lives. We admire the values Judaism teaches us, values like humility, loving your neighbor as yourself, honoring your parents, taking time out each week to rest and learn and pray, giving tzedakah enough that you feel it in your pocketbook, modesty, respect for human dignity. And not only do we admire these values, we believe in them. They're in our bones. And yet, the allure of secular culture is so strong. Much of what it's about, we believe in too, like personal autonomy, science, inclusion, progress, humanism, feminism, pluralism, equality, and just being good people. But of course, it comes with other things that we might not like as much, like the pressure to compete and make more and more money and do 100,000 activities so you can get into the best college and buy all the latest stuff and take all the best vacations and violent video games and overpriced sneakers and iPads for 2-year-olds. The pull of Rome is very strong. And unfortunately, I think a lot of us find that the pull of Jerusalem is, well, maybe a little less so. I think we have to find ways to change that. I don't know what they are, but we have to find them. Otherwise, I fear that Khatam Sofer's prophecy might come true, and we will find that the power of Rome has slowly but surely eroded our Jewish commitments and left our Jerusalem in ruins. That would be very sad and tragic, I think. Driving through Williamsburg, we watched the Satmar families go by and thought, we could not live that way. We don't want to live that way. We know that closing ourselves off from the secular world that way would mean giving up too many things we believe in and hold dear. That's why we and all of you choose Reform Judaism. We choose not to resist secular culture, but to accommodate it and integrate it with our Judaism because we believe that both bring great benefit and richness to our lives. But the path of accommodation is not an easy one. It's actually ridiculously hard to integrate Jerusalem and Rome into one coherent way of life. It's an ongoing struggle to balance Judaism and secularism in a way that takes both of them seriously. Having chosen to try it, I hope that we can arrive at a point someday where if someone says to us, Jerusalem and Rome are both thriving, we will be able to answer without hesitation, I believe them. Shabbat Shalom. Please rise. We're on page 282. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula liotzer b'reshit, shelo asanu kigoyei ha'aratzot, velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'goralenu kechol hamonam, va'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim melech ruchu v'nemar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu Yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad. Please be seated. We'll pray now for our loved ones, friends, family members, and members of our community who are ill and in need of God's healing and God's peace. I will come down. I'd like to share their name. Please raise your hand and I'll come by so that you can say it.
Bill Perez, Sally Wolf, those that have nobody to say it for them.
Thank you, Elaine.
My son Rick.
Thank you, Roberta.
Lloyd Thornburg and Marie Lavin.
Thank you, Phil. I will kind of go this way and then back up.
Eliezer Lev Chaim Ben Yira Kinder Jamal.
Thank you, Adam.
Sarah Bank, Mitzipola and Baruch Faisal.
Thank you, Arlene.
Jane Bernstein.
Thank you, Sandy. Thank you, Barbara.
Stephen Diegelman and Gail Shalom.
Thanks, Beth.
David, Lexi, and Jesse Phillips.
Thank you, Rochelle. Thank you, John. Thank you, Debbie. Claire.
Amarjit Chauhan, Gulzar Chauhan, and Kathy Napoli. Yes.
Bonnie Yeoman.
Thank you, Michael. Dr. Snyder?
Mike, Doris, and Rabbi Sarah Zachariah.
I don't know your name. Hi, David. Thank you.
Harold Cohen.
Thanks, Bob.
Sheila Heidelberg, Jerry Siegel.
Thank you, Jerry. And let's see our friends on Zoom. If we have any names in our chat. Dorothy is praying for her sister-in-law, Helene Greenbaum. Karen is praying for Grant, Nora, Susan, TBE friends and family, an English family. And Susan is praying for Lana Rosenberg, Ilya Sarada, Benjamin Hecht, Gabby Hecht, Joshua Hecht, and Peter Sirkin. And Nina's praying for her granddaughter, Sophie Bliss. May God be with all of them and bring them a speedy renewal of body and spirit. Page 253. Mi shebeirach avoteinu mikor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi shebeirach imotenu mikor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. And we remember now our loved ones whom death has taken from this world. If you are comfortable and able to do so, I invite you to rise as you hear the name of your loved one read. On this Shabbat, we are in Shiva, the first 7 days of mourning for Joan Wachtler. And we are in Shloshim, the first 30 days of mourning for Jeffrey Cohen and Lisa Cursius. We recall the yahrzeit of Henry Edelberg, Beverly Kaplan, Isidore Feldman, Frida Lubert Fishman, Anna Gingold, Ida Goldfarb, Herbert Jenner, Albert Schott, Arthur Shapiro, and Lois Marks. If there's someone you're remembering whose name wasn't read and you'd like to share it with us, I invite you, if you're in the congregation, to do so as my eyes meet yours. If you're online, please feel free to type their name into the chat. Thank you, Rochelle. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. May their memories be for a blessing. If it is your custom to rise for the Kaddish, I invite you to do so now. If it is your custom to remain seated, please feel comfortable doing so. Page 294. Yitzkadal v'yitzkadash meraba. Be'alma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute. B'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uvizman kariv ve'imru amen. Yehi Shemei Rabba Mivorach Le'alam Ulalmei Almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yit'ale v'yitalal Shemei Dekudesha Barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi Shlama Rabba min Shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. V'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. V'imru amen. May the one who makes harmony on high bring peace to us, to all Israel, and to all the world. May their memories be for a blessing. We say together, amen. Please be seated. Okay, let's see here. Announcements. Shabbat shalom, everybody. Okay, so let's see. First of all, I want to say thank you to Jason, who's managing our Zoom online. Thanks to Stu and Joy P and everybody in our office and our maintenance team for helping to make everything that we do possible. They're the backbone of the congregation, and we appreciate them. Let's see. Thank you to the Margaloff family for the making the challah, and to our Oneg bakers. So we have a new custom, and I'd like to invite you to rise if your name is called and you're an Oneg baker. Roberta Lulov, Linda Diamond, Sharon Freeman, Dana Sobeski, Ellen Safian, Ina Pakhtar, Donna Ganzer. All right, thank you all for baking the wonderful treats for us. And we know that there are others of you in the congregation who have been known to bake and may enjoy it, but you have not let us know yet, and we need to remedy that. And all you have to do is just call, who do we call? Joy P in the temple office. It's very easy. Joy P. You call Joy P and tell her that you would like to bake, and she'll set you up, and it'll be very easy, and we can all taste your wonderful treats. So thanks again to our bakers. Let's see what we have going on here. Torah study tomorrow morning at 9:15, and after Torah study, do you know that there is actually something that happens after Torah study? It continues. It continues with prayer, with our Shabbat morning minyan at 10:30. And I would like to invite you and ask you, please come. Help us to build this Shabbat morning community. Last week after I said this from the Bima, we doubled our turnout, which was awesome. Let's keep it going. Keep it going. Please come tomorrow morning to Shabbat morning minyan. And speaking of morning minyan, our daily weekday morning minyan, which we have on Zoom, is also growing. Today was a record-setting day for our minyan. We had 28 people from Temple Beth-El and other communities across the country come together to pray. The goal is 30 by Rosh Hashanah. So help us to get there. It meets Monday through Friday on Zoom from 8 to 8:40 a.m. And let's see, I think that is about it for now. So let's see, I'm going to invite somebody to do the Kiddush, and I think I'm going to invite Phil, because Phil is our usher. And Phil, thank you for everything that you do to make things run smoothly in here. Oh, you know what? I realized I messed up, because Phil gave me an updated list, and I didn't read it. So let me just please read the additional names on the Kaddish list we were remembering tonight: Sheldon Ripka, Daniel Stern, and Frida Schaffler. Thank you, Phil, and I apologize for my mistake. All right, Phil, let's do this. We're going to pour the wine in. And I will invite you all to please rise for the Kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit Kihu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh zecher litziat Mitzrayim kivanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat kodshecha ve'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat L'chaim. Amen. All right, let's see here. If you are celebrating or you have celebrated a birthday or anniversary in the month of August, which is about to come to a close, I want to invite you to come on up here and help us lead the motzi. Come on up. August birthdays and anniversaries. Let's give them a hand. August birthdays and anniversaries. All right. Fantastic. Jerry, birthday? Anniversary. Wonderful. 63 years. Awesome. David, birthday, anniversary? Birthday, Judith? 5. Awesome. Sandy and Lee, anniversary? 40th anniversary. All right. Awesome. Mazel tov. Marcy? Birthday. Fantastic. Bill, are you just hanging out? Birthday, Cindy. All right. Well, thank you for being up here. May God bless you with love and health and joy in the year ahead. And Mazel Tov on this wonderful milestone. And please join us, help us lead. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. You want to take the cover off? All right. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, guys. Mazel Tov. All right, we're going to go out into the atrium and have some of the baking crew's wonderful goodies. Shabbat Shalom. The anniversary.